Guys, it's Brian with the Barbell Spin, and I have Jim, or you probably know him as Jimbo Broski on Instagram and on TikTok. Looks like you probably do more on Instagram these days, though. Look like your TikTok kind of has died out, and you're focusing more on Instagram. Is that kind of where you're spending more of your time on social media?
Yeah, just a TikTok was just like just another added thing, and I just kind of like forgotten to post a couple of days. It's kind of been on my fault, but I try to send them over to Instagram just because that's like where I can promote my sponsors and kind of help them out too, since they do a lot for me. And there's just not a lot of that going on TikTok. It's more focused on Instagram.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I found you on Instagram a few months ago. I think you probably had just started doing the Hero workouts, and thought it was a pretty interesting thing. Next thing you know, I looked back and saw you had done 366 days of Murph, and said, "Man, when I get this podcast going, I definitely need to get you on." So I'm happy that you found some time out of your schedule to come and talk. It was great.
Yeah, man, glad to do it.
So I had seen you talked about getting into CrossFit. It's been a couple of years since you did that. Maybe share again how you found it, and then what made you keep coming back, and how kind of that the just have to do CrossFit kind of mentality. It feels like that's kind of how you kind of dove right into it.
Yeah, so I was a police officer. I'm retired now from the DC area, and at the time I was working on a pretty high risk squad, and I've been doing bodybuilding type stuff for a long time, just the average like gym bro stuff that guys do on buys and tries. And I had one of my partners on the street who he did CrossFit, and I was always like, man, he's like, you should do it. I was like, I'm never going to do that shit. Just because it seemed extremely hard. But yeah. I got a foot chase, and like I was a pretty ripped up dude, pretty big dude, and I felt like I looked good on the beach, but it didn't really do me anything on the street because we got in a foot chase with a guy with a gun, and at about like I don't know, man, maybe like a 400 meter, we started wrestling for like 2 minutes over a gun, and I was like out of breath afterwards, and I was like, whoa, these beach muscles aren't going to help you go home at night. So I kind of dove into CrossFit, and at the time the gyms were shut down. So it was like kind of a mixture of just like the perfect thing happening all together. The gyms were shut down, so I couldn't do my typical, biceps and triceps split at the gym. And I had a gym owner that was, he was nice enough to give me 205 pounds, a barbell, a 70-pound kettlebell, a pull-up bar, and an assault bike. So I was like, what can I do to get fit? And then I just started diving into CrossFit on YouTube. I've always been a big fan of Josh Bridges, and like he puts out a ton of like free workouts, and I used to watch his like here we go videos. It's just like all these awesome workouts, and I just try to replicate that with what I had, and I got really hooked on it.
So were you making your own programming at that time, just trying to figure out what to do, and after watching other people?
Yeah, I was pretty much just one of those guys. I was just like scouring the internet and Instagram, and like just stealing whatever Josh would put out for free, or a bunch of different athletes. There's a lot of really good resources on social media that pretty much offer free programming if you look hard enough for it.
No,
I'm not saying it's like the best constructed, but
yeah, I mean that's how I came across it just randomly, and we started doing CrossFit. A buddy of mine in the YMCA, and just started making workouts with what we could find and not getting people's way too much. And there was a guy that he was doing the standard Globo gym type workouts, and doing the half pull-ups and stuff like that. And we brought our own rings into the YMCA, and we're doing strict muscle ups from a seated position. And he comes over and looks at us and says, what are you doing? Kind of tell him we're doing CrossFit. We're trying these muscle ups out. And he's like, oh man, I can do it. And this guy's jacked, and we're just kind of getting started into it a few months, and he couldn't do it. And he was hooked from there. He came and did it on a Friday. We ended up doing Cindy that Friday, and he came back on Monday and said he could barely walk. And so Yeah, I mean, so many of these
That's
guys, so many of these
awesome.
guys do that type of, they look good, and you see them lifting weights,
hmm
but actually putting it to the test is a much different story.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I was like, I'll preface it by saying, like, I take full accountability for it. Like, I was like, this shit is dumb. I'm never gonna do it. Blah blah blah. It's because in my head, I knew. I watched this dude lay on the floor after workouts, and I was like, I want no parts of that at all.
Yeah, yeah. Got some people here in the comments. Looks like Travis from Vindicate. So
He's a good
uh,
dude, man.
and got to meet him in Charlotte there. So
Yeah, we got
so
to go down. I went down with Gabe from Paper Street, to help him out at Taylor's event across Charlotte. Got to hang out with Travis and Gabe for the weekend, work out with Taylor a bunch, man. It's like, and JR Powell, which is like, just got to sit there and pick JR's mind for hours at a time, like listen to him talk about programming is so cool.
yeah, I've been talking to JR recently, and he's a very good guy and really smart in that type
Yeah,
of stuff. So today you did Gibbs.
yeah.
For those who don't know, 7 rounds for time, 20 deadlifts, 17 kettlebell swings, 12 bar over burpees, and then cash out with a 2,004-meter run. How was that?
It wasn't bad. The workout I did prior to that was my gym's workout, and it was a lot harder. Um, I went pretty hard, obviously, because there was a scoreboard for the class. But going into that, I kind of knew it was going to be a longer one. So with those longer ones, like, I try to go as hard as I can, but, you can't sustain it for that longer 20-minute time domain.
Yeah, yeah. When I told my wife that I was going to have you on, I said, you'd done, you're doing hero workouts, and you had done Murph 365, 366 days in a row. And I said, but he also does other workouts. And she just kind of was like, what? I mean, how, and doing all that is just crazy enough, but then adding in extra stuff on top of it is wild. How beat up is your body these days?
Honestly, man, I don't know if it's not. It's really not. And I don't know if it's and I tell people that all the time, like, I don't know if there's like a genetic component. There probably is to handling volume, and being able to really not get that delayed onset fatigue or whatever you want to call it. But like, I've always kind of been like, show up to the gym, and if you say for 12 hours, like Travis will tell you, when we were in Charlotte, I was like, hey, let's do another workout. Hey, let's do another workout. Hey, let's do another workout. Like, I enjoy working out, and
Yeah.
I don't think I'm very beat up from anything I've been doing.
So when you did Murph, I mean, were there times where, doing that, especially the start, going first week in a row, did you ever get any of that type of, serious soreness, or are you just kind of built for it? It seems
No,
like.
no. Yeah, I think it's probably a really good workout for me. Those are all pretty much wheelhouse workouts or movements too, and I've been doing a lot of push-ups and pull-ups my whole life. So I think that the volume or the tolerance for volume was already kind of built into that point. The running got a little bit naggy on the joints here and there because I was running in metcons. But Travis just said about eating me, don't eat. That's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really get overly sore at all during any of it. I mean, there's like naggy stuff, and I don't know, because pain's such a weird thing, right? Like, you don't really know how much something hurts somebody else, so you don't really know if like your pain tolerance is higher than somebody. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think like I handle pain very well. Like, I don't call myself like the hardest dude out there with handling pain, but I don't think it was like enough to keep me on the couch any days.
Yeah. I'd heard on a previous podcast, maybe with the Savon or the Get With The Programming guys, that the first time you did Murph, it was just kind of a mind clearing feeling.
Yeah.
And that's, do you still kind of get into that headspace now, doing hero workouts versus kind of something that's the 45-minute, just grind it out Murph?
Yeah, I try. So it's different. I try to find it in every workout. You know, sometimes, I'll be completely honest with you. You know, not every day do I go into that like flow state of thinking about things, but I like to think that that comes after the workout. If it's like a shorter one, more intense, where you don't get to hit that flow state for 45 minutes, like when I'm sitting on the ground afterwards, or when I'm reminiscing about what happened, you know, or thinking about the workout, like I do kind of hit that peaceful spot where your mind kind of lets go. I'm sure everybody's really experienced that before. It's just a dopamine dump. So I would say in one way or the other, I did it pretty much every single day, and it's probably what I'm addicted to, I think, when it comes to working out, because I would say I'm probably addicted to it at this point. I don't know if it's really a healthy addiction, but there's definitely worse things to be addicted to.
Yeah. Do you think, what are some like big things you learned about yourself when, you know, it's one thing to say that you're going to go do Murph for an entire year every day. It's another thing to actually do it in, you know, in reality. What did you learn about yourself and just maybe life in general by forcing yourself to get through some of those tough days?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two different ways to look at it. There's like the thing that I was dealing with on my own, and then there's like the byproducts of doing it every single day, where it's like, you know, that, hey, I'm a dad with a full-time job who also has a part-time job of coaching and then runs a business on the side too, and I have to do my regular training and then also get Murph in. So it's like everything had to be prioritized, to the point where it's like there's no getting home from work and sitting on your phone for 45 minutes, which in drinking pre-workout and dicking around, it's like, okay, get in the gym, start it. Like, you got to go, you got to get it done. And that translated into every other part of my life. And I was like, man, I'm leaving a lot of time on the table, with, you know, time that I could be spending with the people that matter most.
Mhm.
And then I kind of made this shift midway through it, and it was like, I'm not, everything that I do now is, does this make me a better human, father, or husband? If it doesn't, it's cut out of my life. I don't need it. Like, for instance, during Murph, I'm not addicted to alcohol or anything. I wasn't an alcoholic, but I stopped drinking. And it wasn't so much because I didn't want to be hungover the next day for Murph. It was, or I was trying to get these ultimate fitness gains. It was like, if you're hungover on the couch, like, are you giving your daughter and your son their time and attention that they need on that day? And it's just, it really puts time into perspective. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going out and drinking on a Saturday night or anything, but for me, it was just like I understood how precious time was because of the prioritization of time.
Yeah. Got a question here from Bob Lemons. How do you push yourself to fatigue as much as possible without having the competitive pressure you get from a group class? I'm sure he's talking about a lot of times you're doing Murph, you know, out of your garage.
Yeah. So I would compare it to, like, for instance, if I was to say, like, Brian, go outside right now and start running, right? At some point during that run, I don't care how fit you are, your body's going to say it's okay to slow down. It's all right to walk maybe a little bit. So for me to put that into like the workout terms, like, I try to find that point in every single workout and push just a little bit past it every single day. And I think it's really tough because there's a lot of self accountability that goes into that, right? You have to be willing to say, like, okay, I did quit on that. I did slow down. I redlined and I stopped for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, just be real with yourself and push past that. That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah. You know, I'm doing a you know, Scott McGee. He's doing a character mile this month, and so I decided to do it along with him. It's just a simple mile, right? But it's about getting out there every day. And
It's awesome.
what I find is you get out there, as long as you get out there, once you start getting moving, you get into it. It's all about just starting that first step, right? And
Yeah.
all it is, you know, it's not about trying to be fast every single time. It's just about completing a mile and showing, you know, appreciating that you can move and do this every day. And I get halfway
Yeah.
through it, and next thing you know, it's like, all right, I feel good. I'm going to speed up and, you know, make this more of a workout than just, you know, jogging through this. And
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very on par with how Murph went. There were days where I was like feeling pretty sorry for myself or beat up or whatever from the other training, and then, you know, life in general. And I'd start to work out and say, hey, I'm just gonna take this nice and easy. And there was days that I was like, hey, this is a zone 2 workout. I'm not gonna try to break a sub 30 Murph here. Like I'm just keep around that 45-minute pace. Which at that time was a nice relaxing workout for me for the most part, just moving a little bit. But there was so many times where I always ran the clock religiously because I just wanted to know my times. And there'd be days where I'd be like, you'd start, like you say, you just get one foot in front of the other. And the next thing you know, you're 10 rounds into the Cindy and you're like, all right, we're going sub 40 today. It just kind of kicks in.
Yeah. You finished Murph on Memorial Day this past year, and I think right before that, you'd kind of decided you're going to go into another year of Hero WODs. Obviously, doing something like that meant that you found a lot of positive things from doing something like that for a year. What made you want to do Hero WODs for starting off a couple weeks after Memorial Day?
So a couple things. So when I was doing Murph, like I've said in a couple other podcasts, that I kind of started it for selfish reasons for me to clear my head. I was going through some shit at the time, and it was a good way for me to just kind of escape that and get through it. And then as it started to build, it kind of went viral on a few social medias, and I had a lot of first responders, military, veterans, etc., community that I really respond well with, or identify with, saying, "Hey, man, this got me motivated to go out and do this. This has got me moving." I had guys that were sending me messages that lost 30 pounds doing modified Murph every single day, and for me, that was just so awesome that a regular dude who's not special, who works out in his garage, could inspire 40,000 people, and especially communities that mean so much to me, because that was something I always kind of stood on the soapbox about, was like first responders, guys that I work with not being fit, and it's like, dude, do it for the guy next to you if you're not going to do it for yourself. So for me, it's kind of all encompassing that mission, and honoring Mike Murphy was awesome, and that's something that's important to me as well. And afterwards, I was thinking, man, I just did one Heroes workout for 365 days. Like, there's so many sons, daughters, fathers out there who gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country. Like, they deserve to be honored too. If I have this platform, let's use it to show what a real hero is and tell their stories. Because I had a veteran text me recently and say, "Thank you for doing my buddy's workout. There's two days you die, and it's the day you actually die and the day that people forget your name." And he's like, and that's the most important thing to me, that you just kept his name going. That meant a lot to me. So stories like that mean the absolute world to me. And if during that I can honor somebody and get first responders moving, our vets moving, our active duty military moving, then, that's all I care about.
Yeah. Since it's become viral, I mean, has it changed why you're doing it, or is it just adding on to that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I first started, it was for selfish reasons. Like, I put it on TikTok because none of my friends were on TikTok, and I didn't want anybody to see me working out. And people were like, "This dude's nuts. He's gonna try to do a year of Murph," and then it kind of exploded. So it transformed into being like, okay, you have this platform that you didn't really necessarily mean to create. So let's tell these heroes stories. Let's, give them the recognition they deserve, and let's use it for something good. And in the meantime, the byproduct of that is getting people moving, getting people trying CrossFit is awesome.
Yeah. Question here from Kenneth DeLapp: is it an addiction at this point?
Yeah, I definitely haven't. I definitely am addicted to working out. I'm addicted to CrossFit. I'm definitely addicted to that feeling of crushing myself in the gym. I don't know that it's the healthiest thing in the world, but for me, I don't feel mentally there unless I put myself into the pain cave. And I think a lot of people say that they go there, but I don't know that a lot of people actually go there. I am definitely addicted to that breaking point in a workout.
Growing up, did you have an addictive personality? What was your childhood like from a that type of standpoint?
I don't think so. I mean, I was always like I was a really hard worker in sports because I wasn't the most talented. But I knew if I worked my ass off that I would get on the field. So I kind of had that like gritty mentality, like just work a little bit harder than the next guy. And it's something that's kind of been instilled in me through my family. It's just kind of like, if you're going to do something, try to be the best at it. Like, and I don't know. I wouldn't say I had an addictive personality at all or anything. I'm not really addicted. I mean, I dipped for a long time, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I guess you're able to, decide on something, focus on it, and really not let anything else
Yeah.
get in the way of that. Bruce Wayne here. How do the families feel, or how does your family feel about what you're doing?
I think he's referring to the families of the fallen,
Oh,
the
okay.
heroes.
Yeah.
I'll answer both of those though, but it has been like so amazing the amount of times that one of the fallen heroes, sister, brother, cousin, guy he worked with, his partner, whatever, has commented on it and then messaged me. I mean, people's wives from these fallen heroes, I won't say any names or anything, but have messaged me and said how much it meant to their kids to see this. And I'm like, dude, this is like, that to me was like the greatest feeling in the world, that I could do. Like I said, I'm just a regular dude in my garage, and if I brought a little bit of happiness to somebody on that day that they're going through hell, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you always think about the heroes and you think about the Murphs um, but there's, you're doing 365 of these, right? And
Yeah.
I can't name 365 of them. So, they're out there, but they're not being done as often and not as visible from somebody like you who's grown a following and watching you kind of go through this. So I'm sure it's very great for those families to see that you're honoring them, which is fantastic.
It's awesome that this platform's kind of been created doing something that I really believe in. And then, you talk to people that have been doing CrossFit for 10 or 15 years, and I would say people that do CrossFit are pretty in tune with the heroes. They know most of the heroes, which is a really cool byproduct of what we do. But there's been so many people that have been like, 5 to 10 years in CrossFit and have never heard of this hero workout. Well, this guy passed in 2005. This has been a workout for, 17 years.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be able to tell their story and kind of remind people that, to put it into context, like this is somebody's son, father, cousin, brother who died. So we should be saying their name over and over again and honoring them in the way that they should be.
Yeah. And then your family, how's your wife, supported you through all this? And, I know you're prioritizing your time and doing the best you can, but you're also still in the gym a lot of hours a day.
Yeah, and that's why I built this home gym too. So it cuts back on the amount of time I have to go up the street to the affiliate. But I'm lucky. I live very, very close to the affiliate, and my daughter loves being there. I coach a lot of classes every day, and my daughter and son are both in the gym with me all the time. They know all the members. They're part of the community there, and that's a testament to our affiliate owner, Ryan Wolf, is just like the most amazing dude in the world. He built this family where people's kids come in there and everybody's kids, they all get along. It's great. But my wife has been extremely supportive of me from the beginning. She kind of knew, like I said, I won't go into too much detail, but I was going through a lot of shit, and I was probably at my lowest point in my life when I started mentally, when I started Murph, and she's watched me grow as a person from that, and what I've done to make our marriage and house better through time prioritization and understanding what's important. It might sound silly that a workout can do that for you, but I think if you committed to anything for 365 days and looked at time priority and how much time you're wasting on things that didn't matter, you'd look back on it and say, wow, I need to fix that as a father or a husband.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but
and
my wife is.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, my wife's just extremely supportive of everything that I do all the time, and very thankful for her.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that, I think I'd heard Jason Khalipa back in the day, just how CrossFit, and he basically does CrossFit in every facet of his life, right? Efficient and just finding the best way to do things. And it just translates into everything he does. And it sounds like that's kind of how you've done the same thing.
I think most people in our community are probably like that.
Yeah.
if you look at the most of the people, and I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, if you look at everybody that, there's obviously going to be anomalies out there, but if you look at the overall community of your gym, I would say it's probably comprised of fairly successful people. One, because time prioritization, efficiency, and also commitment. There's a lot of good traits that I think you have to be able to continue to do CrossFit every day.
Yeah. So you'd been doing CrossFit for about a year, I think, right before you jumped into doing Murph. How did you have to change your nutrition from what you were doing, just regular CrossFit, to the high volume, what you're doing these days?
Yeah, so I was doing everything all wrong, man. I didn't keep track of macros or anything like that. Like, I go to, like, Travis will tell you, we go out to eat, man. I'm eating 8 tacos, probably whatever Travis didn't eat or whatever Gabe didn't eat.
Yeah.
Like, I think we went out for tacos one night and I ate their leftovers in my full plate too. I just eat so much, man, and I never tracked it. So I think I would, like, skip out, like, as a police officer, you don't get to really eat, like, on a regular schedule because there's nowhere to heat your food up most of the time. So you can't really bring it. And part of the camaraderie is you guys all go out and eat together. So you wait till dinner time to all go eat together, and then everybody just eats one massive meal to fuel you for the rest of the day. So it was like, I really wasn't tracking it, man, at all. And then thankfully, probably about a month to go in Murph, I got hooked up with Nick Shaw from RP and got to meet him. And he was kind of like asking me what I was doing, and I was telling him, and he was like, "What are you doing, buddy?" I can help you out. Here's what we do. And I got to have, like, a one-on-one conversation with him and break down kind of what I was doing. And when I told him how many calories I was eating for a full day of doing, 2 hours of regular programming and then Murph, he was like, "I don't understand how you're not a twig right now."
Yeah.
And I don't know, I would just, like, go home and night and just shove peanut butter down my throat and protein shakes and everything. But I just, like, I'm a bottomless pit now. I'm just like, I eat a lot of food. So it has changed. And now with RP, I'm on their plan now, so it kind of takes the guessing out of it. And I know what I need to be at every day for macros for maintenance.
Yeah. So, and then recovery and supplements, are you doing anything special for recovery? I mean, you say you don't really get that sore, but I mean, are you doing mobility work and kind of the standard recovery stuff these days?
Yeah, so I'm doing the standard recovery stuff. I was lucky during Murph. I got hooked up with a company over here that's a physical therapy company, but it's really cool. It's, like, just specializes in sports and recovery in sports. They have, like, just like a recovery membership where you can go use the Normatec boots and the guns and everything like that. But
Okay.
I was going there once a week and getting stuff worked on. I haven't had time to go recently just because I've been coaching a ton of classes. So I've been trying to make the trip over to go. I'll probably start going back here soon though, but been lucky I haven't really needed it. As far as mobility goes, like, I made the commitment to start doing Go WOD at least for 8 minutes a day, and I cannot tell you honestly that I followed that. I fall off here and there.
Yeah.
I try my best, but I would say, like, special stuff, I don't do anything crazy. Like, I don't do the ice baths. I don't do anything crazy at all.
Okay.
Supplements, yeah, just your regular stuff, man. I take creatine, whey, a pre-workout, and amino acid, and electrolytes. I got hooked up with Adam Link from BPN. He's just been, like, the nicest dude ever. And started working with them and tried their stuff out. And I've already been a huge fan of their brand. Like, one of the only real, like, supplement brands that kind of, like, dives into CrossFit too, or, like, kind of embraces that community, which is awesome. And Adam is a big part of it over there. He's a dude I have, like, huge respect for and admiration for. So it's, like, a perfect fit. And I'm able to kind of bounce ideas off of him, like, what will work better here and here. So yeah, I've got very, very lucky to get hooked up with that company.
No, that's awesome. And then I saw that you wear a Whoop. What does that look like? Are you you track your strain? Are you nearing the 20 every single time?
No, no, I'm not at all. It's crazy. I did Murph. So I did Murph again. I didn't put it on social media because I did another Hero WOD that day. There was a guy. So the gym owner's son is 14, and me and him had like a bet going on. And I was like, "Hey, you got school off tomorrow. Like, you're coming to work out with me." And he was like, "All right." And I was like, "You picked the workout. You wanted to do Murph," and I was like, "All right, we'll do Murph, but if you don't show up, we're doing 100 wall walks for time next time you get in here." So he showed up, and we did Murph, and he was rolling. He went slick, and we went really fast. And I think the Murph took like 38 minutes or something, and my strain was like an 8. So for me, it takes a ton now to get to 14. Like, my big session today was about 2.5 hours, and then I probably had a 30-minute like nasty rowing intervals, another 20-minute EMOM, and then like a 1,000-meter row, 75 wall balls, 25 burpee pull-ups, and then the Hero WOD. So right around 4 hours of, 4 workouts, probably 2 hours of total work in there to hit that 14. So
Wow.
it takes a lot. It takes a lot for me to go over 15 or 16. But I'm pretty much at 15 or 16 most days.
Yeah, and you think about 2 years ago, and you're wrestling that guy. You're probably at 14 just from that 2 minutes.
Dude, no doubt. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, you had mentioned. I think you mentioned at the beginning that you'd finally retired out of the police force. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I'd heard on the other podcast that you seemed like you were kind of going that direction. I don't know if you can say or not, but what made you want to get out and do something different?
Well, it kind of wasn't my decision. Honestly, it was like one of those points where it's like I had sustained a couple injuries that were borderline letting me come back to work, and then the last one was too much, so I got medically retired. And you don't really have a say in it at that point. But at the time, I kind of knew it was coming. It was just they were kind of dicking around for a little bit. But I knew that there was going to be a next chapter in my life, and at that point, I was kind of already over the job and ready to do something else, just because of it just wasn't a great fit for me towards the last year of my career. And it had kind of taken its toll, and I watched it kind of spill over into my family life. And I feel like I was an angry person, man. It's a lot to where I worked, and I'm not looking for anybody's sympathy or anything. I enjoyed my job. I did it. I really liked it. When you have to be an actor for 10-hour shifts for 5 days a week, and you have to act a certain way because you work in a certain area, it spills over, man. I mean, you look at like these actors, like, I don't want to say anybody's names or anything, but they go crazy from getting in these roles forever. It's like, imagine doing that for 10 hours a day every single day, and then put on top of it the stress of what you already do. It will mess with your home life in a way that isn't very healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember his name, but the guy that played the Joker, I think he was in character when they said he did that movie. He basically tried to be like that the entire time he was there, and that can't be healthy long term, especially in that type of.
And you have to act like that in those situations, because a lot of times it kind of like brings down what can happen if you show a certain demeanor or swagger. It'll drive down the other end of the disagreement. So
Jared Leto, thanks,
like
bro.
That, what was Jared Leto when he did that? Wasn't the Joker Heath Ledger?
The old one, but I think Leto was the most recent.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Or one of the guys, yeah. Either way, I mean, it's crazy actors and their crazy character. I mean, doesn't normally act like that.
Doesn't end well.
No. So what are you doing now? All right, you said you're coaching a lot in the affiliate.
I'm like full-time coach now. Full-time coach and a lot of personal training. And doing a couple of things here and there on the side. But man, it's been like a dream come true. I don't think I've ever been happier in my life than coaching classes all day long and running my own program through there. And just got done working with a couple of high school kids, high school seniors, doing CrossFit, and it was awesome. They got lacrosse coming up soon, so trying to get them ready for the season. And that's kind of what I'm passionate about, is other people's fitness and kind of sharing that message with them.
Yeah. Are you still involved in the Fit for Duty Foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here it is, where you're helping those in law enforcement and giving them a free CrossFit membership, I guess, or starting them out and getting them involved.
Yeah.
How's that been going?
Yep. I've had to take a step back from it. I just haven't been as involved in it. I am still a part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But TJ's handling a large majority of all the hard work that goes into that. I'm still helping him as much as I can. But TJ's the man. He's running a ton of that. But yeah, we got, I think 12 people right now signed up. It's actually, there's a lot to that. I was kind of shocked that, I put out on social media a couple times, like, hey, anybody local to my area, any first responders, like, I will pay for your 3 months of CrossFit. If you just show up, you're uncomfortable, I'll personally train you for free for 3 months, if that's what it means to get you in the gym. And I got like 2 people responded to me.
Yeah.
it was pretty wild.
Yeah. No, that's
all right.
I mean, we all see the benefits of it, but I think so many people just don't give it a chance. And for you to especially those who, I heard you talk on previous podcasts that it's there's so many unhealthy law enforcement officers or first responders just because of various reasons. I mean, part of it's you're sitting in a car, you're not, you don't have time to focus on it if that's not always been a priority. And it's so important for them to have that. And I think it's a great thing for you guys.
It's a hard enough job being fit, and then you take in not being fit, and it's a recipe for disaster, man. It's not going to end well. That's the reason why police officers have the best pensions in the world. It's because we don't live to collect them.
Yeah, it's just crazy when you see them that they're unhealthy, and you just wonder how they're actually going to do their job.
Well, most of them can't.
That's the problem. Have you ever considered competitively competing in CrossFit? I think I've seen your name on you've done the Open the last couple of years, but if you're doing Murphy at the same time, it's kind of tough to actually be competitive. Do you have any aspirations of maybe thinking about doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. When I age up next year in the Masters, it'll be a year after Hero 365. And that's, I want to make a legitimate run at Masters and try to qualify for Masters. I'm not there yet. You have people like say it. It's funny. I have people commented on social media like all the time, hey, why don't you go to the CrossFit Games? And like, do you know how good you have to be to suck at quarterfinals or semifinals? Like, look at the guys that went to semifinals. Like, they are absolute animals. The guy who finished last in semifinals is a freak. Like, there's a lot to it. So I have a couple of pretty big holes that need to be addressed. I've been working, with Taylor, and we're trying to get something together. I'd like Taylor to put together my programming to try to make a run at the games in 2 years. So that's the plan.
No, Taylor would be a good guy to get you started on some of that stuff. What are some of those? What are the holes that you have? I mean, obviously the endurance seems to be pretty shored up. Is it the strength piece? Yeah,
it's a strength. It's just only have been doing CrossFit for 2 years. There's deficiencies in a lot of the Olympic lifts on 1 rep max strength, and it's not so much like I handle 80 or 90% very well for probably more than I should be able to, but that 1 rep strength is just not there. So just there's been a lot of squat cycles that have happened behind the scenes in the last year and a half to try to build that leg capacity. And it's, just being realistic here, it'll probably be 2 more years of really dedicating a whole lot of time to lifting to get there. And, Taylor's programming is definitely helping a ton. It's a lot of high power output. I would say that's probably the other deficiency is, I'm great in 12 to 15 minute workouts, but it's that short power, high power output where I struggle when it comes to like the big dogs. So for me, it's a lot of time and strength and power output stuff.
Yeah, looks like Travis is doing some too. So you're in good company over there.
I think Travis actually does Hiller's program.
I think he does a little bit of everything.
Busy guy.
Whoever wants to send him programming, I think he might do it. So when you said you're a big CrossFit guy in general, I mean, is it more on just the CrossFit side, or is it the games, or both? Just everything CrossFit?
I love it. Yeah, I love the game stuff. I got to go to the games this year, and it was just like the most amazing experience. But I'm like fascinated by the competition. Like the methodology is also like awesome. Like my favorite show to listen to is Taylor and JR's programming show on Saban's podcast. It's like I like listening to people that know more than me pick apart workouts and kind of like say where the holes are, or say what they change, and here's why, and like the way that translates into me thinking about how I'm going to coach my athletes or how I'm going to program for my athletes. I like programming a lot, especially for that high school, college athlete. So listening to them break apart stuff and like how they take things is like really, really cool for me. And then I like watching competition. I really enjoy watching it.
Yeah. You've done Murph, you've done you're halfway through essentially on your hero workouts. Do you keep getting asked like what's next, or do you feel the pressure of that? You always hear of guys that do these crazy feats, and the question that's always asked is, well, what are you gonna do next? Can you just focus on
I get it a lot.
Can you drop that and just kind of maybe the games is the next major achievement and goal?
Yeah, that's what it's going to have to be. That's what it takes. It takes full commitment and being all in on it to get there, even as master, team, anything now, because the sport's just evolved so much. So like we had been toying around with the idea, like Chase Ingram had said, hey, I think it'd be a really cool idea if you've done Murph for a year and you did the Open. We have your metrics from that. You did Hero 365. You're obviously going to do the Open this year. We'll have your metrics from that. I think it'd be really cool if you did CrossFit.com programming for a year with the rest included, everything, strictly that. You'd have to like make yourself not do another workout and then see how you do in the Open. And I would love to do something like that. I honestly don't think it's enough to get where I want to go. I think it's an awesome program. Like the programming is a lot of it's done by Hobart, and I like have so much respect for that guy and his programming. I just think for somebody that wants to have that, or has aspirations to go to the games, it's at this point in time, it's not enough. And I might not know. I've never been, so I don't know.
Well, if Fronin's going to go in the Masters, there's only 9 spots left. So it gets. I mean, you think about top 10 in the world for an age group. It's a very tough group to get in, like you said. I mean, 11th is really fit, and you put Sam Dancer in there too, and JR is probably going to do it. The spots just keep going down. And plus, I mean, I think I'd have a hard time believing that you could just switch over to .com and take a full rest day or do 7x1 strict press one day. That would be such a shock to your system. You wouldn't know what to do. It wouldn't be enough for me, unfortunately. But I do think it's really, really good for anybody. Like I've had tons of people reach out like, hey, where should I start? Hey, what should I do? And I'm like, first of all, you should go to your affiliate and get coached up for a month. And I'll say like, hey, I understand that like it's a lot of money. You're getting a lot out of it. And then if you choose to go do it in your garage, you have the foundation, like you have the skill set to do it. And .com offers free programming, and this is great for the general population. I really do believe in that. Yeah. Look, to .com, Bruce says, is 10x1 front squats. So, it's good for most people. It'd be it's especially if you do that and I think I've heard several talk about it. I mean, if you do it right, you're still going to get a good workout. You're going to get stronger
Yeah.
from doing that. Do you think you've gotten stronger and improved some of your weaknesses by not doing Murph every day, and doing, a varied workout throughout the hero
Yeah, for
workouts?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that I saw translate immediately was there's if you go back and look at programming, it's really funny because if you just showed me the workout, I could tell you the era of year it was programmed, like 2005 to 2010, 2010 to 2015, because there's so many little things that show up over and over and over again. And there was like a month where I was on a stretch of heroes that were like 2005 to 2007, and I swear all I did was heavy hinging, box jumps, and kettlebell swings. That's all I did for like a month, but it's improved. It's improved my deadlifting a lot just because that's something that's programmed in a lot of hero workouts. Because you want to get a huge community together to do it, and it's a low barrier to entry when it comes to deadlifting. So I think it's pretty accessible to most people rather than like a snatch or a clean and jerk. If you just say, hey, we want to get all of these guys together to come do this workout, all we're going to have to do is pick something up off the ground. You don't have to do a clean and jerk. I think that's probably the reason for that.
Yeah. Are there any things that you have to scale when they come up? No. Okay.
No, I haven't had to scale anything. I think that so if there was a snatch that was over 225 for reps, I would have to scale something like that. Fortunately, they don't really show up that much. I think the heaviest lift that I've gotten to this point is like a 405-pound deadlift in one of the hero workouts, and clean and jerk at 225 multiple times, which I can handle. But like the snatch is something that's one of the things that I'm deficient in when it comes to 1 rep max strength. Kind of dealing with a wrist injury right now too, so my 1 rep is probably down a lot from what it should be.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know you're trying to time these with the date that somebody this guy or woman has died. Have you had some of the workouts where it's like you feel like you mentioned that you're doing kettlebell swings and box jumps, or have you had a couple that have been back to back, just happen to be that you're like, man, I keep having to squat or deadlift day after day after day just because of the way it lined up?
Yeah, and there's been tons of days like that. There's been tons of days where I deadlifted 275 for multiple reps 4 days in a row, and I'm talking about multiple reps, I mean like 50 to 60. And it's happened multiple times, and it's just one of those things. It's part of the challenge for me, because if I just went and picked out the programming and kind of programmed it any way that I wanted to, I just don't think it's the same. It's not the same challenge for me, and I wouldn't get the same thing out of it as honoring the person on the day they died. To me, that means a lot, especially like when the family sees it, and it's more of a challenge of, hey, you don't get to change up the programming because you want to or you want to work on things. Like, you're just taking this as this is the day the hero, the woman or man died, and that we're going to honor him on that day regardless of what the movements are. And that's part of like the punishment, and the commitment is just kind of putting yourself through it day in and day out.
Yeah. Leave you with one last question. Of the hero workouts that you've done, if you had to do another hero workout every day for the rest, for another year straight, which one would that be? Similar like what you did with Murph, but you have to pick a different one.
That's tough. Oh God, I love so many of them. So Holly Man is, in my opinion, like that's a top 5 for me. Yeah. So it's like there's 3 of them that are like really high up there for me. It's Holly Man, Murph, and the one I just did recently, Abbott, which is a 1 mile run, 21 clean and jerks at 155, 800-meter run, 21 clean and jerks at 155, 1 mile run. Love that one. Glenn's another one. I would do Glenn every day for a year. Yeah. That's a badass workout.
Not Chad.
No, I think me and Chad are going to take a break for a while. that last one did me in, man. That was a dumb idea. It was like I got 200 reps in to the 1,000, and every single rep, the ruck was hitting me in the back of the head when I was doing the burpee box step-ups. And it was just like 800 times more throughout that workout. I got reminded of how dumb I was. But because like hey, you made your bed now, buddy. You got to lie in it. And it was cool because I knew that if I did something ridiculous like that, it would probably get a lot of views on Instagram because people just enjoy watching me punish myself on there. I don't know why. That's the thing that's most popular. I can have a really good time on a workout. No one cares.
Yeah.
If I do something that's like running me into the ground, it gets 70,000 views. And for me, that was awesome to say 70,000 people got to read Chad's story that day. And if that meant I had to do 100 or 1,000 burpee box step ups with a ruck on, I'd do it again.
Yeah. No, when they did the Burj Khalifa, I heard quite a few people say, "Man, I wonder who did Chad earlier this year when everybody else was." So you
I've
get
done
your own
that.
version.
I did a mile on the Stairmaster with the vest on.
Okay.
And then did Murph. So I did my first mile of Murph on the Stairmaster, and then did 100, 200, 300, and then ran a mile with the vest on.
Wow.
Because I think Burj Khalifa was a mile, right?
I don't know the exact distance. I know it was 2,900 steps. So that would probably translate pretty close to it. So either way, that's still a lot of steps.
Yeah, if the open had workouts like that in it, I'd be in good shape.
Maybe Adrian will see that and then he'll program that.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I know it's always a busy day, and you have a lot to get to. But thank your family for letting you jump out to the garage to chat, and good luck with wrapping up the next half of Hero year.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm a big fan of everything you do, and love every time you come on the show and your insights and all the articles and everything are amazing, man. Especially like when all the new stuff's coming out with the seasons, and a guy like me has no idea what's going on. It's nice to DM you and you say, "Hey, here's the article."
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm here to compliment you, but I appreciate it. I'll take it. And man, have a great night. Awesome. I appreciate it.
You too, buddy. Thank you.